Hello, my name is Stephen Larkin, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Africa New Energies. Perhaps the best way to describe our opportunity is to look at the world's richest man in the 1950s, John Paul Getty. He had a very simple way of getting rich. Wake up early, work late, and strike oil. Now, our formula is very similar to that. We'll wake up early and we'll work late. Our technology should find the oil, and if you invest, you will strike it rich. And people often ask why it's so lucrative to strike oil. Most people know that the average price of oil oscillates around $100 a barrel, but very few people are aware that every prospective barrel of oil that is sitting under our concession and many others in Africa is worth just 2 cents. So if you pick the right concession and you get in at the right time, you will make money. Now, the next 10 minutes, I'm going to explain to you why this is the right opportunity and now is the right time to get in. But before I get going, the standard disclaimer, you'll be pleased to see that it is entirely devoid of Latin. So let's get into it. So, who we are. Brendan Raw and I started this company 3 years ago after spending 7 years in research and development to find a better way of exploring for oil and gas, specifically to solve the chronic electricity crisis that is faced by sub-Saharan Africa. The Namibian opportunity came about when we were hired by a UN-affiliated organization called the African Innovation Foundation to advise Namibia on energy self-sufficiency, specifically focusing on electricity. Our advice to them was simple and stark. They needed to find natural gas, they needed to find it onshore, and they needed to find it fast. Cut a long story short, they loved what we had to say. They virtually gave us the concession, covering 22,000 square kilometers. That's 5 million acres, the size of Wales. And what was so amazing about that is that we got it for virtually nothing, £265,000. And the reason they did this was that we were able to offer them something that nobody else could. Our team of industry veterans who have made multiple discoveries across their collective careers are compiling 17 layers of geological, geochemical, telluric, radiometric, and other scientific data never used before in the exploration process. This triples the probability of success at 1/10 of the cost of traditional exploration. Now, we have already shown that we are able to create value for our shareholders. We were voted one of the top 10 junior oil and gas companies by African Investor magazine last year. And while that's an impressive achievement for a company that at time of writing was just 2 years old, what we're really proud of is the fact that everybody else spent between 20 and 500 million to get onto that list. Our technology enabled us to spend just 2.3 million pounds. I want to give you a bit of history. We started that UN study in May 2011, and we submitted its findings in February 2012, whereupon we immediately applied with the government's blessing for that very large concession. By April 2013, we had received the offer that the government would allow us to get it. So we were able to start fundraising at just 3.13 pence per share. That valued the company at around about $5 million. By June, we had paid for the concession, so we had created value. So we were immediately able to increase the share price to 10 pence. And from this point on, things started moving amazingly quickly. By September, and note, this is when no business is supposed to be happening, when everybody's gone off to Spain and France on holiday, we raised £1 million. So everybody who didn't go on holiday managed to get in at that low 10p price. During this time, yeah, thanks. Sorry, thanks, Marion. During this time, okay, we managed to get reports, because the exploration process was now starting, that suggested that we were not sitting on one, but 32 potential giant oil and gas fields. This is a major new hydrocarbon province when we do prove it. And that was when we shot to number 3 in the African Investor Top 10. Now, from October 2013 to February 2014, we deployed the funds that we had raised as planned. And this enabled us to complete 7 of our layers, 7 of the 17 layers. The most important one was our spectral survey that tells us exactly, in aerial terms, where the oil and gas is. Now, it estimates on very conservative pay zone assumptions that the gross unrisked prospective resource is 1.6 billion barrels of oil equivalent. That's not bad for a piece of maths. Now, our current objectives are that we are really encouraged, and because we're so encouraged, we're planning to complete the pre-drilling program, where we want to raise $3 million to do the tellurics, the remaining second iteration geochemicals. And in 6 to 12 months, we plan to raise a further £7 million, sorry, it's £3 million, a further £7 million, and that will enable us, obviously at a different share price, that will enable us to drill our first 3 wells to prove that we are right. Now, by the way, what we were able to do was to slightly tweak the drilling process by using local drilling companies. We were able to quote in good faith that we will be able to drill at a sixth of the cost that we were quoted by conventional oil and gas drilling companies. And this fundamentally changes the economics of our exploration proposition. By 2017, and this is when it gets exciting for you if you get in at the 3P, we are planning to list. The value proposition is simple. Right now, you can get in at just 2 cents per barrel. We're 3 times more likely than our competition to strike. We'll do it at a tenth of the cost. And when we do, each barrel discovered is worth $4. I repeat that, 2 cents to $4, 3 times more likely at a tenth of the cost. The 2017 listing gives you a great opportunity to exit. But we suspect you'll want to stay in. Why? Because we've identified a further 10 geological basins in Southern Africa alone, and over 100 anomalies in 48 countries. Our proposition is a bold one. These claims are bold, and we believe absolutely in them. And that is that you can earn over 50 times the money that you invest within 3 to 5 years. But more importantly, you can join the cusp of a technology wave that in 2014 is to energy what the internet was to IT in 1996, but there's a big difference. There's already $6 trillion of pent-up demand that our technology can survive. We have selected, and this is the beauty of this technology, we can select. We have selected one of the safest jurisdictions in Africa. According to Bloomberg, Namibia is one of the top emerging market destinations in the whole of Africa. And we want to give an investor who invests before the 2nd of May the opportunity to see with their own eyes, at our cost, how we are doing this, because seeing is believing. We know these claims are bold. They've probably never been stated by an oil company before. So what we're saying is check our facts, read up on our internet site, on our website, and ask as many questions as you need to. Our team's here to help you. And most of all, thank you very much for listening. And again, any questions? Cool. Pardon? Sorry, I can't.
Thank you. Who are your brokers in UK?
Okay. Our Section 21 prospectus, or sorry, not prospectus, it's an information memorandum, was signed off by City One. And we've also involved Rufina Capital as well. Any other questions?
What is your technology that gives you 3 times chance of success?
Okay. The easiest way to explain is that no hydrocarbon trap is perfectly impervious. Hydrocarbons are always going to leak to the surface. And it's very cheap to measure that. And how we measure that is by looking at the levels of hydrocarbon gases in the soil, how different radioactive isotopes change because of hydrocarbon microseepage, and how micromagnetics and electrotellurics are affected by the electric charge given off by the hydrocarbons at tremendous pressure, very low down. We did take 10 years, and the technical due diligence when one of the governments looked at it is about 1,000 pages. So if you want to know more, I'll gladly talk about it.
Nigeria, I know you mentioned Namibia, but Nigeria is somewhere will you grow, you look into as well, or not really?
That's a good question. Perhaps the best way to answer it is the fact that we were given 22,000 square kilometers for the princely sum of £265,000. If we wanted to get that level of acreage in Nigeria, just the rentals would be $1.5 billion. The beauty of this technology is that we can secure the entire basin because we don't need to follow the same rules as the rest of the hydrocarbons industry, which is to find it where it's found before. The algorithm does that for us. So no is the answer. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah.
Do the same technologies give you the same results, or do they vary in pattern?
That's a good question. Roughly 80%, where it's a winner, roughly 80% should come up tops. In other words, the chances of a false negative are about 20%. So no, not all of them will come up trumps, and there is some variability, but it's a very sophisticated scoring mechanism that does negate the fact that some technologies do make a mistake. Individually, the reason that these technologies have never taken off individually is that no technology is perfect. If it was, hydrocarbon exploration would be easy. Where we've done it slightly differently is that we've negated individual weaknesses, enhanced individual strengths to improve overall effectiveness and did it in a statistically robust fashion. Yeah. That's an excellent question and one that's very close to my heart. Pardon? Pardon, next president, fair enough. We'll talk afterwards.
Or could you repeat the question?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The lady's question was a very good one. In a nutshell, if I understand you correctly, it was, if this technology is so good, why did you use it for hydrocarbons and not solar? Well, the answer is I do have a couple of inventions in solar. And when we went into Namibia, we originally went in around a universal electricity access strategy that centered on solar for the simple reason that 2/3 of them didn't have it, and it's the second least densely populated country on earth after Mongolia. So it made sense to go that route. The problem is, if you want to give solar with storage and deliver it 24 hours a day as a baseload electricity strategy, it's going to cost you $30 a watt. By going the natural gas route, it'll cost us 80 cents. In other words, very sadly, we couldn't afford it. And we had to go this route. And it's our ultimate strategy to help all Namibians get electricity, and it will be with solar on smaller, more remote households. Yeah. So, any other questions? Cool. Thank you very much.